So, there were some passers-by. I felt it would be rude for some reason to be streaming in front of them or trying to bust that do that. Anyways, so I just took a quick intermission of about 30 seconds. But no, like as my battery improves is what I meant. I want to be able to, I'd like to be able to move about and walk and stream at the same time, so it's just chill like that. But one step at a time. It was a lot of noise. They were making a lot of noise, so I just was gonna try to not have that sort of influence or interfere with the vibes. It's a calm vibes show. There's a lot of clunking and clinking from the skateboards as they walked by. Anywho, geez, yeah. I mean, there's really always a lot to consider. The fun. I mean, if there are followers and comments in future episodes and things, ideally, if we can withdraw and recruit attention, and or for an audience, that's if there are comments, that's what this show starts to spin off from. We need commenters, energy, external engagement, and it's just that's what's being summoned. That's what's being fetched. But obviously, like other people on YouTube, ultimately the camera becomes external, and that is what we're going for. The higher budget that we. The higher budget that we push for, the higher the quality can hopefully go. Like it's probably 50-50, like any income. Well, in terms of reinvesting into production quality, for sure. But that's also why we're starting with like an in-house brand or an in-house crew, if you will, because that's like the key core, like a music making side and a film side, like a filmer and a music maker sort of partner, and I'm like obviously in between both, a partner as like a third part, so that's it really. The third leg of this, the other two legs and phases are in different cities than I'm in currently, so I have to actually travel there, and I haven't made the plans. And part of why we're talking this out, meaning the camera, the internet, an external, expression, or whatever to try to do next. And like if there was an audience comment, maybe they could help influence the process. Like, where do you, Mr. Audience person, or one or more, where would you like it to go next? North or west? Kind of like in a video game. But the audience is part of the participation. That's for sure relevant in terms of the engagement of the future community and how we want to vibe with people, short and long term, like engagement and like in the game sense, in the gamification sense. And before crypto became more popular, and also at the same time it's been growing for a long time, but at the same time I've been trying to develop this brand and focus on gamification for a long time, basically since, I mean, crypto's been out for obviously a while, but I haven't been that up on it, and I'm still not that up on it, but I'm trying to turn a corner and go heavy on crypto. So it's not, for me, it's not about crypto, it's about the utility. I mean, it's not just about like a digital asset, it's about the utility of and the function of that asset as a whole, and that asset class, which is like decentralizing finance and just giving power to people. And that's been the biggest part of my theme. But at the same time, like, I was just doing a second ago, do you want me to go north or west? It's like a game kind of, because I'm engaging the audience, and it's like real life and it's real time, and I will actually do the things if somebody indicates one way or another. So it's fully like a full circle kind of a game, a little bit. But there's some, in business. In other words, there's a lot of gamification potential. That is why I wanted to start the brand to begin with. I started Dinky Tech, the brand, before it had that name, after all, a long time ago. Games for Change is a company that exists and was a, not an inspiration, but I did, do a little volunteering there a while ago, and they're a US-based company, and they're also an inspiration and someone that I align with. That's why our long-term brand is Change for Games Studios, and that's kind of like the overarching portfolio company name. It's Change for Games. It's literally, I personally was a long time ago found Games for Change because I was Googling something similar, if I could find something similar, Games for Change. That's what I was Googling, and that's how I found that company, because that's what they're called and that's what I was looking for. And that's, obviously perfectly aligned. And they have cool events and things, and that's what it's all about. Business as games, business as experiences, not exactly as products, because the marketing influences the process. Right now I'm doing marketing, and if I was to engage and say I'm going to go north or east to try to do the next phase of this company, it's an interesting, interactive, full circle process where you're influencing the company on an external sense, and it's kind of a game, but it's actually a real company, and it's a full circle, interesting process like that. Anyways, gamification, that makes my brand Dinky Tech more like an experience. And again, Change for Games is like the holding company. On my website, there's a website called Change for Games, and it talks about how Change for Games is like the world, and Change for Games Studios is like the world, the fictitious world. It's like the metaverse. Before the metaverse talk was being spoken about, I talked about Change for Games for the nature of this platform, because gamification is such a key thing. And so yeah, Dinky Tech is really trying to pull in that direction as a whole. And filmmaking is actually an instrumental part of it for the same reason that I'm having this conversation and using the medium of filmmaking, because this is journalism at the same time as it's filmmaking. It's in a number of ways, and it's engaging, hopefully, an audience which can be part of the short and long-term process that has to do with sort of gamifying, my life, me gamifying my own life to inform the future of the brand, and things of this nature. So it's it's relevant, it's cool, it's interesting, hopefully, ideally, and yeah, that's the bottom line. And let's see, what was I gonna say though about that? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. So crypto, ideally, it's a big deal, because I feel like there's so much energy shifting. It's it has way more to do with because finances dictate life, and the direction of finances is moving towards decentralized finance, which means more power to the people, which means more control over certain experiences of businesses, more control over the functions that businesses can do, because they're able to sort of leverage their own finance game, and a little bit more. There's more controls over the finance game and less control from the institutions, which it offers more malleability or flexibility in what a business can do. After all, it's just options, and tools and things are just going to get weirder and crazier in terms of the metaverse opening up, which just makes the world exist in a digital way, which is what I'm game for, so to speak, because I just think this is a cool, just making this little film and video is a cool way to engage and interact with people, that it's a digital interface, so to speak, and it's just a cool way to engage. I just actually, when people don't answer my calls in the future, I want to start to leave them video messages. I just started doing accountability coaching. I opened that up on my website. So that's a new thing, meaning if people want to do stuff one way or another in life, I'm here now as a new service, essentially. I've always wanted to do this because I've always wanted an accountability coach. So now I'm doing it for people officially, meaning I'm open to it. It's like one of the first headline things on the website, although we're kind of on the back end trying to be like a business brokerage and help sell businesses across the world so that because we have a cool community that's would buy them, and so it falls into good hands, and hopefully will change for the better in the future, based on if you sell them through Dinky Tech. Anyways, I started doing accountability coaching, or wanted an accountability coach a long time, so that I could get shit done that I've always wanted to do. But over having to go the slower route, I was my own accountability coach, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. So having an actual accountability coach can really cut through the fat and just be quicker about stuff. Like, it's just quicker. If you have somebody there that's just like, did you do this week? Really? All right, you didn't? Go slap yourself in the face. Right now, do it in the mirror and make a video of it so it's proof. And that's also gamification, because they send the video back, and that's like, fulfilling the task, and that's like part of the game. And at the same token, I was going to say that sending people video messages is something that I want to start to do, whether it's clients, whether it's family, either way, because a lot of the times there's a disconnect when it's just audio and it's just written word and text. So I'm just trying to completely shift I'm going to probably have to erase my phone consistently for new memory, but like, so that I can send new videos to people constantly. Like, they don't answer the phone, they don't answer a text, or if they're not fantastic at the phone, then I just want to drop them a video one way or another. Just drop them the video, and it's like, even though I'm not here now and we're not talking or doing FaceTime, here's the video, and it's in a little engagement with me that you can hold on to also. You just happen to be able to hold on to it. It doesn't disappear like one of those apps that it disappears, like Snapchat and such. That's why I'm streaming on YouTube, because it's like there's all these apps where you can go live and do stories and things, but then they disappear, and it's like, well, that was kind of sucks. And like video messages that I will do for clients or family, even if I just use a first name, I'll just post it. Like, it'll also be advertising for my brand. Ideally, that's what I'm just starting to do right now, is putting minutes on the board. and just putting time out there it's just external energy. All my energy's been internal for so long, and it's like, sort of like practice, like meditation practice. Like, how do I want to refine the energy so that when it is external, that it's a certain way and such. So it's just been refining for many years. As I've seen it as many years of like refinement and time spent with myself, very internal, for like a lot of years. I was gonna say earlier, one of the pinnacle times that I started the process of going heavy into gamification, and that to me is what translates into crypto heavy in the future, because life is about energy, a relationship, for example, etc., blah blah blah. It's energetic, etc., and money is also translated as monetary energy, and that's guided by impact largely. Like, if like something has an impact in life, meaning it solves a problem, it addresses demand in a big way, then it seeks money, or it speaks to money, it summons money. In other words, money is monetary energy. If there's a problem and like there's a way to help that monetary energy is meant, to get spiritual, it's made by the greater sources, the powers of life, the light of life. That's what it's made money for, is to help these problems. It's like to help absolve them. Wow, you got to bring the light to the problems, whether it's a bank, you help get loans, or a crypto world in the future, banks, you help bridge the gap. If you become that bridge, then you make money, because you get a commission for just carrying the money to the source of an issue, and the people are like, thank you, so then you get a commission, basically. And that's kind of how business as a whole and sales as a whole works, really. Anybody, you help their cause and you get a commission. That's kind of it. It's just like, that's basic, that's business in a basic overall sense. Like, it's just like interesting how to basicify things, and then it's funny how things get complicated when you need a string of tools to make that bridge occur, and then those string of tools happen to also be people, and then to get them to all align and agree, and to green light, green light, green light, green light, so the energy go whoop, bridges takes work. That's like where the bridge is, but just talking about it is easy, and that's actually one of the biggest parts of my interest to begin with, and why Dinky Tech is a thing, is because books are a thing that, like, in the film industry are similar to franchises. They're equal to film franchises, in my opinion, and like in the most basic sense. So the template, so scripts in Hollywood or films, which I happen to be in at the current time, are semi-templated, in my opinion, and I think it's proven. Like, there's a lot of templates, there's a lot of scripts, there's a lot of formats, in other words, recipes, structures that have been repeated over time, because those businesses mainly care about money. The studios, that's it. That's what I'm trying to innovate, is that studio world, and like it's taking from different elements in life, using film as the medium to alter as best as possible the ability for people to interact with the medium of film to make the most impact possible in life, ideally. So point being is, I tried to just boil down, in my opinion, it's boiled down to just 3 things that make this template for any given book to become, or excuse me, any given idea to become a product. And it is these 3 things that you just kind of need to fill out this little template, and it makes it a product, because it's then a book. And a book is also a franchise. A book is a story, it's also a franchise. Or you can do it the other way. A film is a franchise, and sometimes that's made after a book. So therefore the book is also a franchise. It's a story at the same time. That's another basic word. So let's dumb it down and boil it down even further. What is that? It's a story. That's basic. Basic nothing. Like, you tell a story around a campfire. Did you get paid for it? No. Why not? I don't know. Didn't have a template, didn't have a structure of some kind, like, right? Like, and it's not that easy, by the way. It's not just like, oh, I have this template, it works now, I get paid for my ideas. No, there's more ingredients that are needed, but hopefully the template makes it something bankable, like, to a basic sense, because if you talk to a venture capitalist and you use this template, it's better than nothing. The template is just 3 things. It's just the market, the experience, and the product, and that's the story format. You start with the market demand, you move into the experience, you end with the product. The product is the hero of the day, and that's like the structure of a script, or a template of a script, and that's about it. I mean, I basicify it there. I'm not going to try and go into it because it's not more in depth than that, and I'm just doing journalism for the rest of this brand. So it's not about my opinions. It's about me filming what is being tried and what's actually happening. That's the whole point of the Dinky Tech brand. And that's also kind of gamification style also, you know. And that's been influenced by, as a result, his company's grown over time. He talks about his revenue, and in my opinion, it's largely based on the Daily V in of itself, because he's showing interviews he's doing different content that is documenting and also journalizing his process, and that in of itself has been a big advertisement. He's talking about, I'm giving away my content, it's all for free, it's all love, it's all this and that, and that's true. That happens to be true, but then again, it's also a significant advertisement for his brand. So it's both. It's not free. He's getting significant rewards for it, but that's awesome, because it's like, it's dual good, because he is giving and then he's also receiving, and that's what he's all about also. He talks about it, giving 51% or whatever of value, and, you know, seeking 49 or whatever his equation is, but it's still, I believe, you know, it to be based in nobility, and that's the game plan for Dinky Tech, is to innovate on that framework of daily content, which he preaches about to no end, and that's a big part of why, so to speak, he wins and other people don't necessarily compete in many ways, because he's not, and that's what I'm trying to do too. This is it literally taken a lot of time. It's not only from an interest standpoint, but it's from a technical standpoint. Like, I just got onto YouTube Live like a couple days ago because I happened to research a thing, an app, but I've been doing different content setup, just setting up different accounts for a while, but I haven't streamed for this long in any given sense at all. I have like one podcast, one song that I recorded one book that's for sale, one, Sapien account, Twitter account, Instagram account, TikTok account, YouTube, obviously, Facebook business, Facebook personal, for Dinky Technologies. It's just, so it's a little disorganized in that fashion because I'm doing everything. One NFT for sale right now, but that's just to be, they're all symbols right now, to be structured as like pinnacles for symbols, to just be like, one Behance account, like symbols to do more in those spaces based on what's working, what's ideal, what's, which media is most easiest to access in the short and long term, and then which ones to try to like double down on, increase, decrease. It's very like, well, I mean, it's a matter of sort of emotional quotient, which means EQ, which is which is music, and it's personal also. It's just sort of like feeling the sensitive nature of what's most important in life, and how with your time you can try to, do the most good, really, have the best result, and that the most people care about. So it's like taking your own, it's trying to like combine your own interest with the outside world's interest, and trying to like feed into and read into the outside world's interest, and be where their attention is to begin with, which means it's what they care about most to begin with, and be in those realms as a priority. It's really tricky because there's, attention's becoming more scattered. Like before, it was always on TV. So it's interesting. It's like chasing attention these days. And I hope to think that crypto is it can assist in this fashion to some extent, like in like, not only in earning money, which is a big deal because it's like helps the process. Well, you need, that's the that is the item that helps businesses move along. It's the fuel, in other words. So like, anyways, I personally I'm just trying to be nimble in learning, and being open to learning, and being quick to learning, and consulting with people on a more consistent basis as often as possible. And I also, if I do accountability coaching, I feel like hopefully the people that gravitate to me are people that I would also want to learn from, ideally. And after all, if I'm trying to help them accomplish their goals, they'll be teaching me things at the same time. So it's almost like it'll be like I don't know. Anyways, that's about it. It's hopefully a good vibe in that respect. Oh geez. Yeah, that's just a little morning shake. So I don't know. I could leave it here. I'm literally just screaming, screeching. I could ride down the hill again if you wanted. I'm kind of like a, person who liked to play sports a lot when I was a kid. Like, that's the whole thing. It's one of the biggest incentives. It's two things. I had a dog. His name was Dinky. That's what the brand is kind of about. It's interesting how it came to be, but his energy was always about chasing a ball. And that's kind of how I am. Like, when I was like young, I would always be playing a game of some kind, and that's just what it's always about. Like, there's always opportunity, like, and that equals the ball. You're always chasing a ball. Like, he was always, until literally his end, he was always chasing a ball. Like, he was like, what do you want to do? You want to hang out? You want to snuggle? No. There's the ball. Throw it. That was his mindset all the way through. He was a black lab, and he's part of the logo. Like, you can see it in the logo. And like, it's a triangle for Dinky Tech, and the triangle is his head essentially, and that's actually his, like, it's a computer, it's a symbol of the computer chip of his brain, which is just that focus, that intent to just play at the same time. And like, for me as a kid, I was growing up, and I would just play all the time. I was just outside at the neighbors' houses, like, and it's a big part of how I've lived. These days, it's interesting. I'll go to translate my flow of lifestyle in the last few years is interesting. I won't get into that probably for a couple of years until ideally after some kind of audience is present, so that hopefully there's a vibe connection rather than anyways, that's what I'm trying to obviously build. And then you can worry about the details of my life and my story in particulars at a later time. But point being is play is the essence of everything. Like, because like not only Dinky and his mentality, right, but like because he was my dog, and he actually didn't live with me until, for the most part, the later part of his life. So that's where I got a greater appreciation for him. And bottom line though, is I also liked to play, and I like business, and film is my main focus. So it's kind of like combining these things, because like business is like, in other words, something you have to do as an adult, and like you can't just like play on the playground all the time as an adult. But that kind of like sucks. That kind of sucks. So the pinnacle moment for me, when I realized this is the thing, how I can try to translate into new energy or new stuff. I mean, a new format of things, of thinking based on the way things have been. I lived in New York City for a long time, and that's where I found this concept, if you will, which is just a coincidence with when Pokemon Go came out. When that came out, that's what connected the dots for me, all of them. At one point, more or less, like is like a couple friends were playing it, running around chasing Pokemon at the same time, and I was following them around, and I was just like, wait, no kidding. Like, you're in real world playing a game, and it's digital but physical, and it's informed by something that's internal in this like game, in the mind frame, or the program, you know what I mean, like the mentality that's programmed into the program, really. And like it's the first of its kind, and I'm like, holy cow. And I feel like that's when Dinky Tech was truly invented. Like that's, and the change for games mentality and studios, if you will, and that's it. Like it's like a new form of a film studio, in my opinion. That's like what it is, essentially. It's a new it's like all the elements came together: gamification, playing, business, because I'm sure you can earn money on that app. I haven't actually played it, but I'm sure you can earn money on it. I'm sure you buy Pokemon or whatever. There's many other apps, like you just go on these live apps nowadays, like even on dating sites, there's the live version, and you can throw them coins, or other people send each other coins, and like you earn money that way, like real actual money. And like that's gamification to a degree. But Pokemon Go, in the greater sense, gets you outside. It gets you to run, and you didn't want to run otherwise. And that's what it's all about. Not only are you exercising, because people have always exercised, and like I've been one to just play sports. Like my life is, well, this is what it's about, is trying to make it like a sport, more or less. Like you're chasing opportunity, but you like to. It's like you're playing a sport, so you're getting abs, right? You're not just trying to get abs to get abs. You play a sport, and you distract yourself with something that's fun or interesting or whatever. And it seems that opportunity exists for a lot of people in a lot of ways, to just like pursue things that are of interest to them in the business world, and then they have to make it into a business by usually getting partners, getting influencers in the space to help promote this or that, to try to help them to improve in that space or that niche in business. But if there's demand in that space, then there's always, then there's opportunity to grow a business there. And that's one thing Gary Vaynerchuk has talked about a lot in Time and Life, and over time, is that different niches exist for different interests, and people to be able to follow their interests and do things that they enjoy based on finding the niches and the interests in the marketplace, to be able to like facilitate I guess I could put this over this. No, that's not even, may as well, no, never mind. It's nicer to have this one and then this one, these two rectangles. Anyhow, so yeah, and like ideally, right, you become a better entrepreneur by chasing that interest. It's like, sure, maybe you have to have a job. I feel like that's just like so elementary in the nature of this entrepreneurship game. 100,000% is it's necessary. If you have a job, and jobs are necessary in life, that you have a job, but then you also have the entrepreneurship thing. It's like maybe a sacrifice, like but I don't have friends anymore. Not like that's like a joke or not a joke, but it's kind of a joke, because like I don't, because I had to stop, because I had to sacrifice. Like friends equals wasting time if they aren't aligned in your business, for better or worse, right? Like it's not like worse, really, because it just means you have to make time for yourself to focus on the thing that you need to, so you can prioritize that over wasting time with talking with people about something that maybe is not relevant to your greater interest in a longer term business, which relates to your niche. And if you're in a job just so you can pay for stuff, the more time you make for the business, the sooner you can try to focus on that full time. But also, though, I think it's cool, totally cool and legit and awesome, actually, to vibe with both and just make time for both and take the really long route. That's honestly what I would recommend for any or everybody, for sure, in terms of entrepreneurship, is always have a job if you're not super comfortable with just risking it all, which I never would actually ever recommend, to be quite honest. Like, for sure, getting a stable job, especially out of college or whatever, the newer you are in life, the more you have to learn, so the longer it takes to try to get to the pools of, opportunity or niches in life. So therefore, like, taking the longest time, possible, so that it's comfortable to try to hone in on business skills and such, which takes focus and time and energy, research, blah blah blah, and outreach. I feel like that's probably one of the biggest, if not the biggest skill, is outreach to people that are in the space, that are mentors, that are just doing it and just talking, because like, you never know if there's going to be gold in that conversation or farts. And like, I think both are actually good, because the farts are still part of it's still part of moving moving it along. It's like moving the process along. It's like a no to get closer to a yes. So you learn what you don't like from that that negative conversation or whatever. And it's all very basic, but bottom line is, if you have a job that pays for things, like, you just got to make room for a little more time after the job to just start to research and try to hone in on making money on the other side hustle, so that sometime you can slide that in as the main thing. Sounds sort of not intuitive, but just sort of apparent, or basic or obvious, but like, it's like a second job for sure. And it's kind of necessary, but I think it's gratifying, because it's the recess or lunch. I can't remember one kid in my class that I wasn't playing with at some point or time. Like, they were on the field just by happenstance because everyone else was doing it. And it's the opposite in overall sort of aura, if you will. Again, I think it's totally cool. It's really, really cool, especially if you like your coworkers, or if you find a job that's chill, that it's ideal that you just take as long as you need to just make a little extra time, whatever it is, that you keep that job going and you get that income. But actually two-sided. One is that you start to invest in things, because that's a dual learning thing that helps with the entrepreneurship thing. You invest a little bit here and there into things that are good, not heavily. I mean, you got to parse the time into investing and then making the second business. But the thing about investing is, like, even in losing, it's kind of fun. I mean, it's kind of fun. You lose, it's kind of like those farts conversations. You lose that little bit of time, but you learn what you didn't like about that conversation. If you lose in investing, it's like, fuck. Okay, I'm going to try to learn something more to try to improve that process, or I'm going to get a better source of information for investing the next time. But I feel like losing is a goddamn part of the game that people need to fucking love. And I genuinely mean it. Like, fuck. It's like people don't invest because they're afraid to lose. And it's like, that's horseshit. You're going to never play a game of soccer or something because you never want to fucking lose? That's retarded. You're playing for fun, right? It's the same in investing, if you can sort it that way. You have a job, so the job is to pay for things, and that is the landing pad. You pay for your rent and your food and such, and then you grow from there. You weed out the things that are distractions, ultimately, and then you want to just, like, you want to lose. You want to lose. It's fucking okay, and it's not even okay. It's fucking ideal to go out there and play the field of investments, for sure, and lose. Fucking lose it, because it's fun. You just played a game, and you don't even know that you just played a game. But by not investing and going and wasting the money on, like, I don't know, something that's, like whatever it is, like sacrificing a spending of something that literally wastes your time anyway. You waste your time and money. by spending it on something external or whatever the spending was. If you just waste it on, just pretend you're going to waste it on an investment, just pretend you're going to lose it. Just pretend you know you're going to lose it. It's fake money. Just pretend it's like a video game and you're playing an investing video game and you're probably going to lose it because you don't really know how to play the game. Okay, you don't care. Push the button and go. But the other hand is you might win. And you're also going to make an informed decision before you actually push the button, in my opinion. You're not just going to push the button. Sometimes people do that in investing, and it's kind of okay. I mean, again, as long as you have a job that comforts you and gets some of your basics covered, and you don't have friends or outside world obligating you to pay for other shit that you don't need to, ideally identifying those things and moving them aside is ideal, so that those distractions are not only taking your time, but they're also not taking your money. Because money is the thing to enter into the game of investing. Obviously, that's like the coins to play the game, the slot machine of investing. You need those coins to win more. Like, that's the only game where you can win more coins, is investing, and not actually gambling like in like Vegas. Because investing you can read, and that is your one up on the game of investing, as opposed to gambling in a casino where it's literally an algorithm in a game and it's 100% chance. Investing is you read in the market what the indications are of the directions of any given things, and it's like not necessarily a daunting process. You just have to read a little bit, like get some indicators out there, some indicators that inform the direction of any given thing that you're thinking about investing in, like, and then you try with a little bit of information to help inform that direction. A little bit, not even heaps. You don't have to read the whole Wall Street Journal. It's not all going to help you. Only little bits are, if it's about investing in certain things that you want to invest in. And that's really, I think, where the daunting part comes in, because there's a lot to choose from in the whole world, realistically. Like, but then again, you can only, from the way it is, you can only invest in certain countries, right? Like, all countries will only allow you to invest in them if you're in them. So you either have to travel to them or just invest within your country. So that helps narrow things down. Or you have to have relationships for certain like private equity bullshit. So that helps narrow things down. So you got to do even more research or more outreach to get those relationships. And again, if you have that job at the backbone, at the base, if you know you want or need a job to comfort yourself at the back end, so you have a place to live and some stuff to eat, like, that's all you need for the long haul. For the super long haul, you get that comfort covered and that security, and then you grow from there. Like, just keep it kind of that basic, ideally, in terms of that. And it's two-sided for growing a business and for investing. And I think Elon Musk said the same thing at one point. He's like, you don't need more than to feed yourself and to like have a place to live or shelter. Like, it's not like that much of a haul to get those things, and then anything above that you can try to just work and build that profile, that mental profile, to begin with, which just comes from facts, following good mentors, good people, and such things, to try to build an internal business profile. And ideally, my mission is to help people to see that as play. My mission is to help people to see that as playing around, playing a game, money to lose. Whereas instead of going to Vegas, they play investing games and they play entrepreneurship games where they're buying marketing online. It's like, no, don't go to Vegas. Play the game of entrepreneurship and investing. Those are the casinos that offer insights that give you an advantage over an algorithm, over like just chance. Like, it's literally little bits of information, and it can be that simple to help inform the process. And there's a fear towards it all. There's a fear towards it all. And like, my biggest mission is to change the fear. It's to just create the comfort, establish, have your taxes in it. You want to try to go out and lose it in the game of investing and playing, because that becomes a game, because then it's fun. That is the whole point, is to change that paradigm into fun. Because holy shit, you might surprise yourself, and like, maybe, I don't know, you lose 1% of that investment. Okay, maybe you gain 2 the next year, so you made 1%, but that's just year 2. And I'm just saying years, because this also opens up the mentality to years. people are very short term in terms of just like thinking what's next week, what's tomorrow, what's like a week and a half from now. It's like, no, like investing and in entrepreneurship involves looking at markets years down the line, preparing for that. So that's the bottom line, you know, like creating that room for comfort. It's like, imagine somebody walks into your room and they say, hey, clean your room in 3 seconds. Clean your room right now in 3 seconds, or you know, I don't know, or I'm gonna slap you with this rubber chicken. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not fair. Like, that's not fair. That's not even enough time to pick up a sock, right? Like, so the point is somebody said, okay, clean up your room, but you have a year. Actually, take 2 years, right? Your mind's like, fuck, I can clean my room and I can go outside and do something fun with that amount of time. If investing is the same way, it's ideally the same way. You've got your money, you've got your coins, and then ideally it grows, like manifests and like momentum. That interest to search for more and more investments. It's like, oh, you cleaned your room in 5 minutes. So that's like investing in some little weird stock that you found, for example, right? You had 2 years to do it. You did it in 5 minutes. Now you've got the rest of 2 years to go look for more investments and shit to do that's productive, like cleaning your room, because now your room's clean, and the reason it's productive is because it opens your mind frame. And if your mind frame is open, then your whole, you know, your paradigm of cleanliness and your mentality cleanliness opens up too, and then you can start to open your mind beyond that, upon having organization and almost nothing. Like, for me personally, I like to have, like, you know, not a lot around me, or just almost nothing around me. If I'm in like a room trying to focus, for example, like not like clutter and such, it's a little distracting to energy. It's like static. It's static in terms of energy. Anyways, it's been 45 minutes, so maybe I'll just go ahead and end this real quick. It's been a good session. I know there's no actual viewers, but this is just to sort of try to lay down some content, and hopefully this will show up on podcasts sooner than later as a little business music set, laying it down on what's today, June 12th, 2022, and that's it. I guess I'll sign off for now, but hopefully it's good in terms of ideally just inspiring and wanting to, you know, have people try to gravitate towards me and Dinky Tech, the brand, to, you know, not only do life goals accountability coaching for people, but also we have a host of other services that are on the website, which should be on my profile description on my profile on YouTube. If not, it's wlo.link / symbol and then DNKYTEHC Dinky Tech. That's the little temporary website with the services and things, but yeah, really we're just trying to grow an audience for right now, and then try to start to make more content, more video that has sort of some post-production goods, and then music, and hopefully we'll play music aloud at some point and/or time, and that's kind of cool. And that's I guess it for the meantime. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll check in later today about something else. It depends. Yeah, I mean, one of the next sort of features that I hope to try to get through, and this might be one episode, like it's 30 little books. I was saying there's like little books which are just like the market, the experience, and the product are the three parts to the template that make the story, because the product is the hero of the journey, and that tends to be how like every movie is structured that way. Point being is these little books just are based on ideas, and ideally in the future of context and speaking and addressing ideas, because a lot of people, and oh gosh, the black box finally went away. A lot of people, oh, it's back. So a lot of people shun ideas, but this template, I like to think it unpacks the idea real quickly and makes it into a product. So it's just like an idea infers the product. I mean, basically, because that book makes it into more of an experience. Because whatever, I'm not gonna go into it right now, but using that template, I want to try to unpack 30 books at once, and maybe I'll just do 1, 2, or 3 like today or later today or something, or at a time. But maybe I'll just do all 30 on the next like vlogcast, just to get them out of the way, because I wanted to just, it's kind of necessary, like not to focus on each one, but just to get the list out there of the 30, because it's kind of like, anyways, my structure is not perfect right now, but the 30 is just little topics that, are structured to develop kind of a backdrop of products that are of interest for Dinky Tech as a whole to try to move towards, and little products to try to, consider either just furthering interest in those, products or projects for future reference that Dinky Tech wants to support, and like internally try to be a part of, support, like have an energy move towards those. Like there's an ambition towards some of that stuff, because like one of the original things I tried to make, and it did not function, unfortunately, was making a car a few years ago. The manufacturer did not help it progress to the point of fulfilling the order that ultimately was meant to come to be made. So regardless, though, the point being is like that interest to make a similar device is like what is being spoken about in terms of devices. Like I actually tried to make that into my first business. Well, not the first business. My first business was a t-shirt machine, but that did not check a lot of the boxes that I was trying to check. So I didn't follow through with that business, but the car business was going to be a way better vibe. But after all, it could be a blessing, because it's whatever. The cars and vehicles are not the most perfect way to try to necessarily flow and get around. There is risk, etc., etc., etc. That's why I think cars being automated in the future is ideal. It's like let's do for sure our best to try to bring issues on roads down, for sure. I take public transport nowadays mostly because it's like ideal. I ride this freaking scooter around because it's functional, and sold a car that I had that's been parked for many years, actually recently, because of that reason. It's just like that simple. But yeah, and that energy is like, I just think it's like that energy as a whole of like development and making cool stuff, innovating, like using 3D printing to to make stuff, etc., is like something that's functional. I know a guy who uses glass to form and shape into cool stuff. That's kind of awesome. For example, whatever. In other words, there's cool stuff out there worth talking about, and that's hopefully what can be talked about at some point sooner than later, and using those things as like an opportunity to try to talk about the template and use the template more often to address certain products and their potential by just really spitballing about the market, the experience, and the product. Then it just kind of can hopefully help inform more of this podcast practice intent content going forward. So one step at a time. Yeah, that's the foundation really of the brand. It's like trying to make products was the brand foundation, and so anyways, it's more fun, or whatever. It's not more fun, but it's just obviously a little better if it can be talked about as an idea and then brought down to the couple of phases or stages of a book, just by actually inferring. I guess that's the point, is talking about the idea or the thing or product, and then unpacking those three things, and inferring those three things out of any given idea, which is just words, and then it just automatically unpacking those three things so that that idea can empower any idea that is just words with those three things into something that, and yeah, as a result, just the idea calls upon the template, and then therefore that instantaneously, that idea is a thing in Dinky Tech world because of that little template.